Today, we're going to get into the new proposed custody rule that the SEC's put out back earlier this year in February, and how it's going to affect people that are holding digital assets into the future. So, this last week, I had the pleasure of attending CoinAlt, which was a conference in San Francisco. I got to listen to the likes of Jack McDonald, Brand Garlinghouse, people from MG Stover, PolySign, KPMG, and a lot of other prominent firms in the industry when it comes to tokenized securities and digital assets, funds, and banking, right? And at that conference, a lot of the discussion was around this new proposed custody rule that was put out by the SEC and how it's going to affect the industry, people that are putting together funds, people that are advising on digital assets, and what that's going to look like in the future, and even your ability to participate in staking, liquidity pools, and being able to earn yield on those digital assets that you hold. So with this, the SEC has proposed basically that if this is passed, anybody that's providing financial advice on these assets is going to have to hold them in qualified custody. They also need to be segregated, right? So this is what we've seen with FTX, Celsius, Voyager. A lot of these companies were holding digital assets on behalf of their clients and then leveraging them and doing other shady things with them that didn't end up turning out well for retail investors or anybody that's holding assets on the platform. So one of the things that the traditional financial system has gotten right, out of all the other things, is the segregation of custody versus the leveraging of the assets. And so it's something that we do at Digital Ascension Group. We have qualified account and a qualified custodian, PolySign Senior Custody, for our clients of the family office for their digital assets. We just provide custody. We are forming an RLA underneath the family office where we can provide full scope of financial services utilizing some of those assets. But that's why this is so pertinent to me and why I'm excited about it, because we're already in alignment with the rules that are being proposed and probably what's going to happen. A lot of these exchanges hold people's assets and they are not a qualified custodian. And in the future, I think that you're going to have segregation of that. If you are providing trading, if you're providing leverage, staking, anything that's going to be generating yield on these assets, you're probably going to have to work with somebody that is a qualified custodian. And so you might wonder, well, how are you going to do that? If the assets are not on the platform, how am I going to be able to trade them? How am I going to be able to stake them and other things? So there's a couple different things there. PolySign in particular has developed a product where they escrow the assets held in our clients' wallets. We can then issue a line of credit onto exchanges, and they're able to use the liquidity without actually moving the assets. So the assets never leave qualified custody. They have insurance on them the whole time. The line of credit goes to the exchange, and then they're able to execute trades or other things, and they settle up within a certain time frame. The assets then atomically settle with the assets that have been purchased on the other platform, and they move back into the wallet. Or if nothing is done, then the escrow is released and the assets stay in the wallet. I think that that'll be how basically all this is done in the future. And it also brings it in the purview of the traditional financial systems and the guidelines that exist. There's KYC, AML, OFAC, all the things that traditional accounts for, qualified assets would have. These digital assets are going to move that direction. And this also brought into account art and other things that are being tokenized, which will be an interesting aspect of this. And I'll talk about it in a different video, what that looks like and why that's important. But the main thing I wanted to cover here is I think that this is going to affect the industry in that, a lot of people like to self-custody. I don't think self-custody is going to go away, but I think if you are going to be generating yield with the asset in some capacity, whether that's through staking, delegated proof of stake, providing liquidity to liquidity pools, trading those assets, I think in the future, once this is passed, you're basically going to have to hold those assets with a provider that allows you, they're a qualified custodian. There's currently, I believe, 5 states that regulate trust banks for digital assets here in the U.S. South Dakota, Nevada, Wyoming, New York, And then I believe there's one more. Um, and there's a few different people that are regulated in those different jurisdictions that do provide these services. And I think that they are going to be the primary location for digital assets in the future, as long as they stay above board and they do everything that's in the guidelines here with the SEC. So hopefully this was interesting for you. Again, I think this is going to have huge implications for people's ability to generate yield on their assets, what they can do with them, and how that works. I don't believe that you're just going to be able to hold your assets in a anonymous cold wallet and participate in staking pools and generate income. I think those days are behind us. I think that the marrying of the traditional financial system with digital assets is close at hand. So if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.